Hello, so let's see how we can go about scraping this one. So we see this URL here, which is a great starting point, and let's start a scraping project. So I'm in a directory over here. If I run Scrapy, I get some help. Scrapy, start project, and then let's call this Fairfax. Okay, so then it gives us some instructions here, cd Fairfax, and let's do it, cd Fairfax, and then tells us to write Scrapy Gen Spider. So then it's the name of the project. Let's name these fair, let's name it quickly, maybe FF country, something easy, and then the domain we can put fairfaxcountry.gov. Okay, good. So right now I can do Scrapy crawl and FF country, and now it will run a scraping business. Okay, so we can see some output. Of course, much of this doesn't make sense at all. Let's see what this process did. So it created for us quite a few files, but actually only one is interesting for us, this one, the FF country. So let's open this with our favorite text editor, and let's go into the spiders directory, FF country, and see what's in there. So all this code has been generated for us. We can see here the name, allowed domain, which must be the same with this URL up here, and here we can see start URL, which is quite wrong. So we would like to use this as our start URL, and this is why when we did the Scrapy crawl here it gave an error. We want the same URL, we just copy paste it here. And let's see what happens if we run Scrapy crawl FF country. So FF country is the name of the spider here. Okay, all this is out of auto-generated code. So we run this. Again, we can see lots of output log, not something particularly interesting. And actually we can put -l warn, and then it will remove all this log. So if we don't do something interesting, we'll just see no output, because this output was a bit confusing. So now when the page load completes, this parse function gets called, and let's see what happens if we do here print response.body. Wow, so we can see lots of text, and this text corresponds to the HTML of this page. So if you right click here and view page source, I will see lots of HTML, overwhelming of course, but we don't need to deal with that. But we can see that same HTML here. Okay, so we can see here complaint numbers and lots of interesting stuff, and we can see also that there is a way to get to the second page and back. So let's try now to understand how this page works. So I would like potentially to extract those numbers from here. How can I do that? So the trick is here to go right click and inspect. So this is an interesting case, because we see here that this text is inside an anchor A, but it is also inside a TD. So we can see some HTML around here, and all this is inside a table called GV table. So let's understand what we have here. Maybe I will type some notes. So I want the first column of a table with class GV table. Okay, so this is the table, and I want the first column for each row. And we will see exactly how this works, but let's try to start by printing those numbers. So this is the text that is inside an A. So I want to extract the text from an anchor element A. Okay, so this is what I want to do. And now let's see how this is done. So Scrapy is very helpful because it can give us, it has a CSS argument here, so actually I can very easily tell it to give me a table with class with that name. So it is the usual CSS expression which we can use table dot and the name of the name of the class, right? So this actually will find a reference for us for that table. So table equals this one, and let's try to print it. You will see it's a very interactive process. Let's try to print it and see if it works. Okay, so selector, it found something, which is good. So if I press here table.extract, it should give me the HTML. Yes, but we don't really need the table itself. We need to go through the each row of this table, and we can see that the row has a tr, right? Tr, and actually it's a tr with class gv row. Let's see how this would work. So let's name these rows now, and I will go and find table rows with class gv row. Let's see if this actually prints something. Again, Scrapy crawl. Okay, good. So I have some output here. So let's do a for loop. For row in rows, okay, print me the row. The output should be similar. Okay, nice. So now from every row I want to output the first TD. So again I would go and do the same trick.css actually, and extract the TD, and actually TD of 0 because I want the first TD, the first column. Okay, let's see if this works or not. Okay, it seems to work, and so out of this first TD element I want to extract the H, the anchor. So again CSS and A. Let's see if this works. Okay, so I have some selector here, and then actually I can go to script documentation and see how I can extract the text, but this is quite easy. Actually I just write text here with 2 colons, another selector, and at the end of this do extract first. So this is standard, you will see it used again and again, and here are my numbers. So what I did is I went to over here, and from this table that has a class gv table I went through the rows that have class gv row, and I iterated and I extracted the text of the first link of the first column. So first column, and the link in there I extract the text. But we can see actually that there is a mistake here, because we have here different layouts. So we can see also there is gv alt row, and we miss those numbers here. So we have only the ones that have a white background and not the other ones. So how can we do that? Actually it's easy. We can just get rid of this class, and then we will have the header, which is not good, but we will also have other stuff. We will have both the even and the odd numbers. So to get rid of the header I just start iterating from the first row and below. This is how we do that, 1 and colon, meaning we skip the first row, and indeed we have the expected output. We can see though that we have a few more. Probably it used the GV pager So we also would like to skip the last row. And how do we do that? We just put -1 there. So this is small Python tricks that we use all the time, and maybe we need to get rid of 2 rows. Okay, so now we have these 375 up to 490, 42952, which is all the numbers we would like to have. So this was quite fast because I knew what I was looking for, but you can find all those inside Scrapy and the selectors documentation. If you search here for CSS, you will find all those explained in quite a bit of detail. But as a matter of fact, this is a little bit of basic Python, so access to arrays, and the CSS, which is a very common thing when we do web development. Now that you have seen all those, probably any other case will be extremely similar. But the thing is that we actually want what this link points to, not just the number, I guess. So let's go here at the network tab, which is very useful for us, and see what happens when I click a complaint. So I will click the 3375 complaint. So I click this, and we see like tons of things happened, right? We can see here at the end this form was provided to us, which is good, but how did this happen? Actually, if we go, usually it's the very first, we have independent call. So when I click something, there is a call to another URL. You can see all these details for this call over here. So it has another URL that we can see here. The request method is post, and we can see that the output is fine. And we can see here parameters for this one, like the address key, count, and server number. And actually we can see here in the response body. So now this looks quite sophisticated. Let's try to repeat this and see what exactly happens with the second case. So I will click now the 4345 case. Okay. So again, we can see here another post request, and there is a long view state here. So we try to see the headers and try to find any evidence of using 4345 around here. So if I copy this and I paste it in a text editor, I would expect to see 4345, but I can't find it anywhere, which is very weird. So I wouldn't say that we can't figure this out, but let's try an alternative path. So we have the output here with 4345, and we can see the output here, and let's see what happens if I use the other URL with 4345. So I click here search by complaint number, and we can see this output here. So let's grab this URL, and we can see it has 4345 at the end. So it has the same information here. Paul McDam, excellent, unfounded. Okay, so this looks exactly the same. So my question now is, can I form URLs out of those that have this format? And let's see if we can. So I have here the case ID, which is this one, and let's actually just use the first one. So I will return, just for debugging purposes, I will not iterate, so I will use just the first one, which is the 3375 in this case. So I take this one, and instead of 4345 I do plus and the case ID, and I name this URL. Let me also make it look a little bit better, because now it's spans multiple lines. Okay, so I would like it to visit this URL. Let's see if this works. Okay, no error. So let's now yield a new request. So if we go to the documentation and we search for request response, we go here, yield request. So we can copy this one. Of course, other examples are there as well. So we have the URL here, and then it wants us to have a callback. So self dot parse, I will call this detail. So I will define here a function def parse detail self comma response, and I will make it print hi. We don't need this. And let's see if this will work. And actually I can't find out why this problem is, so let's go on and debug this, which means I will remove the warn at the end so I can see more information, and easily we can now see that it says filter offsite request to www fax country. So what was the problem here? Allowed domain here is fax country, and we would like to be www fax country. Okay, so let's go back to our pattern, and now we can see that it prints hi. So here we have the detail page now. So if we really successfully had this page, what we would expect to see, for example, we would expect to see here street address. So again, similar story with the table. We have a table here with class TB border, and more or less would like to see those two columns. The first one is the type of the property, and the other is the value. So let's try to find the table with class TB border. So same as above, rows equals response of table with class TB border, and let's get for every row, let's start without any limits here, the two rows, and let's extract the text. Let's see what this will output. Dot extract. Okay, so what do we do here? We find this table, we go through each row, and let's see this here. So we go to this table and we go through each tr in turn, and we can see that we said extract in this case and not extract first, because extract first would give us just the first column, but now with extract, for every one of those we get an array with two elements. The first one is the complaint number, for example here, then some spaces, the second, and the third is the value we want. Let's see the second row, again number, then some spaces, and then the value. So we could conclude here that it's key, some random stuff, value, and then we have some random stuff again. So this is Python again, and let's try to do print key and value. So key is the name of the field, and value is this third column. Let's see if this works, and we can see that this didn't work, and the reason is we have to go a little bit back to check, and probably there is some column that has more or less values, and indeed we can see here notice of violation, so this is a bit unusual. So we go back and we can try another approach. So it seems to me here like we are trying to extract the text too early. Let's see what happens if I go here and I do extract on those and see what happens. Let's see if it gives us more structured results. So now we'll try to extract the two columns independently. So we see here 1 and then 2. So this looks somewhat better, and we would expect this array to actually have two elements. So let's name those columns, and then we have key column equals columns of 0.extract first in this case, and then value column give me the second one. Okay, so let's try this one. Key column value column. Okay, so we see some error here, and indeed this is the TD. So let's try to extract again from here just the text and see if this works any better. So we see this is an iterative approach. Again, we try the 2 or 3 tricks of the trade, and this looks way much better. So we can see here lots of new lines, and this is why it doesn't look nice and structured. So there is a string manipulation function in Python that is called strip, and it gets rid of all those weird invisible characters like the new line character. And let's see now that we remove those. Okay, so we can see the key, street address. So the first part works, but it doesn't look like the second part works. Again, it's an iterative process, so let's comment this out and let's print the second part and see what we get. So we can see that it is a TD, and then it has a span. Actually we could also see it here. So the first column has just a TD and some text in it, while the second one has a more complex structure. So let's try to add here a span. Good, and we see complete numbers. So now we have all the data from that form with just a few lines of Python. Let's add a separator. Okay, so we have complaint number, and we extracted effectively this table. Okay, now one thing we can do is we can use a dictionary, which is an effective way to create this table out of key value pairs. So we can call this table equals a dictionary, and then it's very easy to write here table of the dictionary equals with the value, and then return table. So by doing this, we return to the standard Scrapy terminology. When we return a dictionary, this actually Scrapy knows what to do with it, and more specifically if we write -o, for example, fairfax.csv, it knows how to create a CSV file out of it. So as you see here, here's the CSV file that it just generated for us. So I double click this one, and you can see a very nicely formatted table out of that row. And so this is where the magic happens. This is where the Scrapy framework really is very beneficial for us, because as soon as we have the output and we respect those rules, then we didn't need to really write anything to export a CSV. So over here I wrote a return statement to use just the first line of the original table. So we went through just the first line of this table, but if we wanted to do all of them, all I need to do is just remove this return statement. I just did that. I will remove also the CSV file, so we start from the beginning, and then I rerun this one. So I will notice that it takes a few seconds more, but let's see what we have in here. Okay, so we have all the CSVs from this page. So all those tables are in there, and you can see that this is just with a few lines of code, right? So I would say no more than 15 or 20 lines of code. So this is a good starting point, I think, and of course probably those are way too many things to digest, so please come back with questions and we'll take it from there. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much and have fun.